Hey y'all, so this is my review for Blood, Sweat, and Heels, episodes 5 and 6 of season 1. Also, before I get into it, I want to thank y'all for, supporting me and, watching this rewind back with me. We left off from the last episode, Micah looked like she was a little intoxicated, and she just got to Bree's family's Hampton home. So she gets there and she starts squealing, hey girl! They are mortified right now. They're telling her to keep it down. And Bree even says, act like you have an ounce of class. Damn. And then Demetria, she just starts busting out laughing. Now, granted, Micah does look a little tipsy, but I'm thinking she's seen this as a vacation, something to get her mind off of, what she's going through with her dad. Bree's just like, my parents are home and they have house guests. As Micah's talking, they're still telling her to keep it down. The looks on Geneva and Demetria's faces, they're just getting their life from this. It's just giving mean girl energy. I feel bad for Micah. Just looking back at it. Because in the grand scheme of things, she ain't hurt nobody. She ain't insult nobody. She's just being herself. I mean, a little bit tipsy and a little bit loud. But I think the other ladies aren't giving her a lot of grace. And I think it's because of Micah's behavior at Geneva's party. Micah is currently off the chain right now. She calls herself mocking the other ladies for trying to shush her. Let us pray. They're not going along with it. They're kind of laughing at her. Demetria then asks her point blank, are you sober right now? The problem here is there's two clashing vibes right now. Micah came in ready to party. She pre-gamed clearly. Had Melissa and Daisy been there, I think it would have been an even balance amongst the group. But since it's just Micah and then the chill girls, then now they're all looking at her, judging her are you drunk? So now they're getting on Micah for being late instead of just going to the restaurant. And I will say, Micah's I'm not late. Y'all late to my shit all the time. She has a point. As the conversation's going on, it's just getting more hostile. I don't know why they just didn't all get up to just go to the restaurant. So Demetria and Geneva, they excuse themselves while Bree and Micah are talking. And it looks like Micah's getting upset now. Bree's trying to calm her down just to diffuse the situation. But, it's Micah. She's already turned and she's mad how the ladies came at her. I would love to know y'all thoughts on this. I feel like they did come at her a little aggressive. They could have just been hey girl, you late, but you here. How's your dad? Good, you don't want to talk about it? Let's go to the restaurant. But they were hyper judgmental as soon as she entered the yard. And it's crazy because on my first viewing, when it was airing, I was on the other lady's side, but now it just seems like they're kind of picking on Micah. Because the only reason Geneva's being shaded to Micah in this moment is because of her behavior at the Cove Lounge party. Child, so Bree fails at calming Micah down. Micah, she's ready to go now. She is pissed. As she leans over to get her purse, she almost falls on the table because she still looks like she's intoxicated right now. So she just heads out. Meanwhile, across town, but with Melissa meeting up with Daisy so they could go to Melissa's event. So they're just getting their glam done, and Daisy's asking Melissa, do you like doing these parties? And from what Melissa's saying, it seemed like she don't. She's just doing it for the check. They then start talking about Micah, and Melissa says, yeah, she went so she could forget about her issues and have fun. So the next scene, we're back in the Hamptons, and Micah comes back into Bree's yard and says she needs a cab. I got kind of nervous that she was coming back in because she was real close to that pool and falling in. So while Bree is calling Micah's drunk ass a cab, she's in the backyard and she's just venting to Demetria's fiance. The other ladies inside the house, Bree's really trying to just put a lid on the situation. She's telling them don't come back out, just let her vent until the cab comes. Demetria's I would not like her to use my fiance as a vehicle to vent. So she's going back out there too, which I think is a bad idea. They should just let Micah be out there by herself to just calm the situation. But Bree goes out first as Micah is venting, and she's just F all these ladies, they ain't my friends. And Bree's are you talking about me? Micah's I would have expected more from you, Bree. More. So now Bree is engaging with her and they're going back and forth. Micah's like, have some fucking compassion. So now on one side you have Bree and Micah, they're going back and forth. And on the other side you have Geneva, Demetria, and her fiance. Demetria is like, insinuating that she's an alcoholic. Micah should have stayed in DC to grieve properly. Like, they're just discussing how much of a hot mess she is right now. It just seems in this moment like they're all ganging up on her, and it doesn't seem like the proper solution for this problem. So speaking of making situations worse, Geneva then comes out and then asks Micah what's going on. And of course Micah doesn't want to talk to her, and Geneva's just like, we've been here all day, we're hungry. Micah then says, fuck you, and then calls her an insensitive, fucking hungry bitch. Geneva knows what she's doing right now, and at this point, she's taunting Micah. So it looks like Micah's cab has arrived, but things start to escalate when Geneva yells, "Detox, babe, detox." So then Micah turns right back around and starts to walk in Geneva's direction. Oh, Lord. I mean, it looked like a physical altercation's about to happen, but it doesn't. But I will say, in season 2, I guess this was some foreshadowing because Geneva eventually got into that physical altercation with Melissa, of all people. Child, and now Demetria needs to be held back by her fiance. I'm not gonna do nothing. I want to say this is probably one of the climaxes of the season. So now as Micah's in Geneva's face, Demetria comes running up. Excuse me, you were in somebody's house. We then see Bree, who's the hostess of this whole situation. This is her parents' house, and she isn't doing nothing about the situation. She's just standing over there looking. Like, what she should be doing is getting Micah and escorting her out, but she's just letting her be there. Like, why is Demetria telling Micah to get out? That should be Bree doing that. Not Demetria like, baby, I pray for you. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste? You mean namaste? I'm sorry, I just never heard it pronounced that way. Maybe she's saying the correct pronunciation. Lord, now we got Geneva taking off her heels. She putting on some flats. We cut to her confessional. She's like, listen, you ain't gonna catch me off guard. So Geneva then walks away and she says, like I said, detox. And then Micah calls her a fucking Wesley Snipes. Again, we see the camera pan to Bree, who's just sitting over there on the swing, just looking at Micah be a hot mess. She is a terrible host. Okay, so now things escalate as Micah is going after the ladies. Like, they're inside, I guess, her mom's house, the guest house, I don't know. But Greg, Demetria's fiance, is trying to keep Micah from going in. They try to lock the door from inside, but she's just like trying to open the door. We now see Bree finally getting up and rushing up to Micah. The Jumanji drums have started playing. Geneva and Demetria are like kind of shocked that Micah's trying to get in. Demetria's like, she's trying to get to the house. This all has escalated for no reason. Micah should be in a cab back to where she's staying right now. We then see Demetria and Geneva, like they're running out the front door. So now they're back in the backyard, I guess. But now we're with Micah and she just finally tells them that her father passed last night. And like she's now hysterically crying. They think it's funny. It is crazy how it escalated to, hey girl, and now to this huge blow up and breakdown. She's saying that all she wanted to do was just forget what she was going through and have fun with you girls. Just looking back at it, like I just feel like they really kind of ganged up on her when she came. Like they were judging her, like saying she was late, piped down. And, you know, she was already tipsy and in a mind state. So, of course, her mind goes to, like, why is everybody coming at me right now? I kind of understand. I'm not excusing it, but I understand how they got there. We then cut to Geneva and Demetria. I think they're making light of the situation. Geneva definitely looks like she's entertained by this. And then we cut to Bree trying to console Micah. Now she's hugging her, saying that she loves her to death. Bree, I'm not believing you right now. Like, you're just saying what you can. I'm thinking now that she knows that her dad died, now she doesn't want to seem like she didn't care at first. Oh, so Micah is finally in the cab after all that, but she does tell Bree that she shouldn't have come. So after that, Bree goes back and tells the ladies that Micah's dad passed away last night, and immediately Demetria's like, well, that is no excuse for her to act like that. I'm sorry for her, but that was no excuse. I think everybody was wrong in the situation, and Geneva and Demetria definitely antagonized her and made the situation escalate. So then Demetria tells Bree she's just gonna go back to New York, like after this experience. You think she'd have PTSD afterward, but that is the Hamptons trip. Nothing else happened after that. So now we're back in the city with Melissa and Daisy. So they arrive to the party. I mean, it's barely packed, and Melissa's now saying, I need somebody to talk to me. I'm like, girl, you were just complaining about the people coming up to you. So just chill, drink your Grey Goose, and collect the check. This whole scene is funny and awkward. I mean, they have her fans lined up as she's taking pictures with them in front of the step and repeat. First, she says she wants someone to talk to her, and then when the promoter goes over to her and says, well, your fans are ready, she then downs her glass of champagne. I'm like, which is it? So next scene, we're back in the Hamptons with a sober Micah as she's at her family member's house, and she's talking to Terry about what went down the other day. Meanwhile, we're with Bree and Geneva having dinner, and they're talking about Micah, and they still really don't have any sympathy for her, and they're just talking about how crazy she acted. And Bree's talking about, she made a mockery of my family. Girl, chill out. Chill out. No one knows who you are. There was a reason you weren't invited back the next season. So then we cut to Geneva's confessional, and she's talking about the Wesley Snipes comment that Micah called her. She's like, is she calling me that because I'm a dark-skinned person? You think I'm ugly? Now, personally, just as a gay man, I think she's calling her Wesley Snipes is because he played Noxzema, the drag queen, on To Wong Fu Thanks for Everything. And I'm just saying, Noxzema was beautiful. Like, she was a beautiful drag queen boo. So I think she was trying to compare her to that. I will say, though, Geneva does have a right to feel that way because, I mean, basically she's trying to call her a man. Like she has masculine features. But I will say I was living for Noxzema personally on To Wong Fu. Well, and speaking of that, we cut to Micah's confessional, and she's saying she's calling me an alcoholic. I can stop drinking when I want to, but you will always look like Wesley Snipes. To Wong Fu with the red lipstick, Google it. Jesus. So as we're going back and forth between these two scenes, it looks like Micah wants to have a personal conversation with Bree, and it looks like Geneva, she is done with Micah. So now this makes the group even more divided. Wow. And then Bree says the only way I'll speak to Micah again is if she calls me and says, will you go to an AA meeting with me? Damn. Next scene, we're with Melissa meeting up with her mentor, Dr. Dyson. He looks very familiar. I usually see him on like political shows. Like, he's somebody, I just can't remember where I know him from. But Melissa's just venting to him about her insecurity of where she is in her life. Like, she just feels stuck, and what she's looking for is stability. Now, the vibe between the two of them, like, is he a married man? No, I don't see no ring. I don't know, I get that he's a little interested in her, but he's trying to keep it professional. But yeah, she starts crying at the table. He's comforting her and just trying to give her the best words of encouragement. Now wait a minute. Like, now we go back to Melissa and Daisy at the club. Who edited this episode? How are we back at the club and in the last scene she's talking to her mentor? The editors were clearly like, fuck it, they won't notice. Anywho, we see Daisy being her bubbly self, checking for the men in the room. She's asking about Africans. She's being very culturally inappropriate right now. Like saying, oh, out your way, and saying some type of nonsense. And then she starts clicking her tongue. Really, Daisy? A mess. Well, I guess they just wanted to show Daisy being inappropriate because that's the end of that scene. Next scene, we're now with Micah back in her apartment in Harlem. She's being visited by her homegirls, Melissa and Daisy, and I'm sure she's gonna fill them in about what happened at the Hamptons. was. So first she lets the girls know that her father passed. And then she said when she went to Bree's place, like she was just being her fun self, you know, like, hey girl. And they said, shh. Daisy was like, was someone praying? I do think it would have been a completely different situation had Melissa and Daisy gone. The ladies are gagging at Micah's version of the story. Now, she did leave out that she came drunk, but she did say that she felt attacked upon arriving. Ooh, Melissa, those eyebrows, girl. I hope she fixed them for season 2. Daisy and Melissa are completely on Micah's side. They say you had every right to get drunk and have fun and get your mind off of it. Oh, well. Micah's now talking about the audacity of Geneva to call her an alcoholic when she's glass for glass with her. Daisy's like, I never seen Geneva sipping water when we sipping wine. So then Daisy messy ass decides to call Bree on speakerphone. Bree answers and she doesn't let her know she's in front of the other ladies or being listened to, but she's just asking her how the Hamptons was. You know, Bree is telling her version, but it's the long extended one, and the other ladies are just like, Lord. At one point it looked like Daisy just regret calling her. Wow, now Daisy had her on the line for 30 minutes on speakerphone so the other ladies can listen. I'm glad the editors did fast forward through that. So yeah, the line is definitely drawn in the sand between the ladies. Like, they now call Demetria, Geneva, and Bree the button-ups. And I do agree with Melissa, like they do have a tendency to be very judgmental. Like with Geneva, and then we saw with Demetria at the beginning of the season, and then especially Bree. I'm sorry, y'all. I think I'm more empathetic with the fun side. What about y'all? So next scene with the two besties, Geneva and Demetria, they're shoe shopping, and Geneva's talking about the next event they're going to, the Polo Classic event. Now, if you live in New York, you know about this event. The ninjas, we go there to just be seen. We getting our Sunday Easter's finest to just, you know, sit on the lawn and drink. No one really cares about the Polo. Geneva's trying to make it seem like she got these exclusive tickets. She's VIP. I'm like, girl, in the next episode, they're all in the same vicinity as the common folk. There is no exclusivity. But she's talking about who she's inviting, and she's only inviting Demetria and Bree. She said, definitely not Micah, because this event is about alcohol. And she also decides not to invite Daisy and Melissa because she thinks they're just like Micah. And she's like, oh, it's not that type of event. I don't want to be associated with Micah. Where do you think you're going? This isn't some prim and proper event. This is just, you know, a cookout, basically, a fancy cookout. Anywho, next scene with Melissa and Daisy at lunch as they're waiting on Bree to join them. It looks like they're about to give Bree a taste of her own medicine and ambush her. They start already when Bree arrives. Like, they order drinks. We cut to Daisy's confessional. She's like, it's New York City. We drink in the middle of the day. And I will fist bump to that. I don't care. I am an adult. Like, I would give me a nice French 75 at 12:30 p.m. with my chicken sandwich. Thank you. But yeah, Melissa shady ass, she's like, cheers to being a functioning alcoholic. Child, so then we find out that Bree was the one that organized this lunch, and she wanted to sit Daisy and Melissa down to talk about Micah. It looked like she's trying to stage an intervention with her. As Bree is going on, like, Micah has this serious problem. Like, Melissa is on defense for her girl. She's like, it's Memorial Day weekend. Like, how come she couldn't just show up, you know, tipsy? Now, I will say in the last episode, personally, she did give some concerning signs of abusing alcohol. Like, I can't even deny that. But just the way they came at her in the next episode, I feel like that wasn't right. I don't know, would y'all call Melissa and Daisy enablers? It's just such a great situation because even if Micah came drunk to Bree's house, she wasn't hurting anybody and it was a party weekend. I don't know. Daisy and Melissa then call out Bree saying, oh, so you want to have an intervention. And Bree's like, I didn't say that. But Daisy's like, well, you're insinuating that. So if you think she has a problem, why don't you talk to her? And then Bree says, well, I'm not speaking to her right now. Bree is now going back and forth with Daisy and Melissa, and they're standing 10 toes down. Like, our girl is not an alcoholic. Maybe you need to talk to her. Like, I don't know why you want to get us involved in that. So it looks like they're at a stalemate right now, but the ladies are eventually going to have to see each other. But Look, after episodes 4 and 5, this group is completely broken, and we still have 5 more episodes to go. Anywho, that was a great episode, y'all. Let's get to episode 6 that's titled The Louds and the Prouds. So we open the episode with the fun girls, Micah, Melissa, and Daisy. They're going hat shopping because they're also going to the Veuve Clicquot Polo Classic. Y'all don't know how many times I had to practice saying Veuve Clicquot Polo Classic. Veuve Clicquot Polo Classic. I guess it wasn't that exclusive, Geneva, but you know, they're hat shopping, they're having fun, and of course they're not talking about the other ladies. I will say in this scene that Micah is clearly cognizant and not drunk. This is actually the most mellow I've seen her. Like, Daisy is the one that's on 10 in this scene. So then Melissa and Daisy lets Micah know that they had a lunch with Bree, saying that she thinks she's an alcoholic and she needs some type of intervention. Micah just shrugs it off and expresses her disappointment that Bree is aligning herself with Geneva. So this is where we get the title of the episode. They're talking about how judgmental the other 3 ladies are, and Daisy calls them the Prouds, and Melissa said, well, we're the Louds. Daisy's like, Prouds and the Louds, and Micah's like, shh, Prouds and the Louds, shh. Daisy then says, are we supposed to be quiet tomorrow? Because you know they're going. I gotta hand it to Micah. This is the most low-key she's been in a scene. I really think those ladies made her insecure about being herself. So next scene we're with Demetria meeting up with her mentor. I will say though, like, I remember watching this, you know, when it was airing, and I just did not like Demetria. I was just like, she just gave that Amanda Seales energy. It's just like, girl, calm down. We get it, you're brilliant. So Demetria's just talking about her career, how she's stressed out, how she has to have a deadline for this book, while also she's engaged. She doesn't know when the wedding date is. So this scene mirrors the last episode when Melissa was meeting up with her mentor. And yeah, she's just giving her words of encouragement as well as some advice. So next scene, it is the day of the Veuve Clicquot Polo Classic. See, I did it. We're now with the Prouds right now, and they're driving together. Here we go again with Bree talking about her family in a confessional, like she's so prim and proper. Bree just seemed like somebody who auditioned to be on Housewives, but they put her on this show instead. Oh gosh, she just go on and on. Like, I definitely don't consider myself a socialite. I'm just privileged. My dad just comes from old money. So he's afforded us a very lovely, lovely life. So then Bree is telling the ladies how she met up with Daisy and Melissa and how they think that Micah doesn't have a problem. And you know, Demetria's like, are they serious? Are they serious? Bree then feels that she was attacked also by Melissa and Daisy. I mean, now you know how it feels to be ganged up on. Don't feel great, huh? So the ladies arrive to the event, like all 6 ladies are just separate. The Prouds get there, they're already chilling. I mean, when Geneva arrives, she's being judgmental. I'm like, girl, you don't look that fabulous, so you might need to calm down. Like, do you still need some money from your mom? And then this whole shtick about them being VIP when they're in a very crowded area, surrounded by people, hardly have any space between them. So then we see the Louds arrive, and they see Greg, Demetria's fiance, but so far they don't say hello to the ladies. And plus there's no space near them anyway to sit down. So the irony is Geneva is now on 10. She's yelling, lusting after one of the Polo players. God forbid if the Louds were doing the same thing. So we're with the Louds now, and yes, that's how I will refer to both groups. Daisy decides to call Bree because she feels like they're not beefing with her, so why can't she come over and say hi? Unfortunately, the call is very disconnected between them, but Daisy wants to, meet up and just say hello. When Geneva and Demetria find out that Daisy's calling Bree, they're just being mean girls for no reason. They're like, ignore the call. Does she not realize a polo game's going on? What? So as both groups leave the campgrounds that they're on, it looks like, they're in the main grass area. So Daisy runs into Bree, they say hello. We see Mike and Melissa over there, but then they decide to go over, and then Demetria decides to go over too. It's awkward because no one is talking to Micah. It's also crazy because Daisy has not seen Demetria since the dinner party. So now all the ladies are together once Geneva joins the group. It's a very different group. And again, Micah is just standing there. Surprisingly though, the only person that does speak to Micah from the Prouds is Geneva. And Geneva, being Geneva, of course she said hi, because she loves confrontation. But it looks like Micah isn't giving her what she expected. We see Micah then having enough of being cordial, and she goes back to where they were sitting. So now the ladies are separate. Now they're talking about Micah. And it's crazy because ladies that didn't speak to her are now talking about her. So on one hand, we got Daisy talking to Bree, and Bree is like, does she want to have a conversation with Micah? And then she says that she felt attacked by her and Melissa. Daisy apologizes and says, I'm sorry you felt that way. Because her confessional, she's like, really? We didn't attack her. We were having a conversation with her, and we didn't agree with her. She says it's very much giving victim. And I can only imagine what she think Micah did to her. So then on the other side, we have Demetria talking to Melissa about Micah. She's saying what she saw was a violent episode. Melissa says, if Micah's an alcoholic, then I'm an alcoholic, and we need to go to 12 steps together. So it looks like they just agree to disagree, because Demetria feels like there is no excuse for Micah's behavior. And of course, Melissa has Micah's back. We're back with Daisy and Bree, and Daisy's really just trying to facilitate a meeting between Bree and Micah. Bree says she'll meet with Micah if they both have 2 glasses of water. She's still doing it. I'm sorry, if I was Micah watching this, I would never want to be around Bree again. I'll hand it to Geneva. At least she was the one that was cordial enough to say hello to Micah. These other two, they had the nerve to talk about Micah, but when Micah was there standing in front of them, they didn't have nothing to say. Didn't even speak to her. So next scene we're with the Lyles. They're chilling poolside somewhere, and the next event looks like it's going to be held by Daisy. It's going to be a dinner for her book event. So then the conversation is about Bree and Micah possibly meeting. Micah seems like she's open to doing it, so she just calls Bree. It goes to voicemail, but she leaves a message saying that she's open to talking. So next scene we're with Demetria at her home. Her fiance just walks in. Something about their chemistry just seems off. I heard from y'all that they're no longer married. They were married for 3 years. And I did look at some of the ladies' Instagram profiles. I saw Micah, who still seems to be Micah. And Demetria, I think she's not even living in the U.S. All right, so there wasn't that much to this scene, so we can move on. Next, we're with Daisy driving with her assistant. So it seems like it's the day of her book event, and she's just looking over the venue, seeing if everything's okay. It's a shared space. She didn't rent out the venue. She just rented out a section of the area for the dinner to happen. Look, she on a budget. I appreciate it. So next scene, I don't know if it's going on the same day as Daisy's book event, the day before, day after. They don't care about the editing on this show. But now we're finally seeing Micah and Bree have this sit down to see if they can resolve their issues. So they're finally face to face. It looks like Bree's coming in with this snooty attitude already, saying, well, I don't have much to say, so I'm gonna just let you talk. What? Is that how you're gonna start the conversation, Bree? So it looks like already there's a disconnect, because what I'm hearing from Bree is she's talking about Micah's behavior. And Micah does take some accountability, which, we love accountability over here. But she says that y'all really weren't welcoming to me. And even though I didn't tell you that my dad passed, I didn't want to talk about that. I came in wanting to have a good time. And she's saying, as soon as I said, hey girl, you was like, shh. Now, while they're having an intense conversation, the waiter comes over, just standing over them, and it's so awkward. I feel so bad for him. So then he tries to interrupt them, like, oh, excuse me, can I get you anything? Bree stops to acknowledge him, but Micah, she's too into it. She's like, excuse me, and just continues talking to Bree. I'm just saying, y'all know that I'm in hospitality. If I see two people going at it like that, just back away. They're having a conversation. Even if cameras weren't there, I would have just stayed my distance until it was okay for me to jump in. I don't feel bad for the server. The server did that to himself. But as he's just standing there, he's just like, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, they're not getting anywhere. They're both combative with each other. Micah looks like she's just hurt, and I don't think Bree sees that at all. Side note, this restaurant looks familiar, but I don't recognize it. I don't recognize the name, but I feel like I've been here before. Yeah, the disconnect is Micah's talking about the pain she felt when her dad passed. And I think Bree said it doesn't matter. You disrespected my parents' house. So, like, yeah, already. I'm really glad Micah showed some restraint when Bree said it doesn't matter as she was referring to her father. I probably would have threw my drink in her face. They are going back and forth. If I was the waiter, I probably would have just been chilling in the back. I wouldn't give a shit. Ooh, so Bree says in her confessional, me losing my parent is very different than her losing her parent. She says, I talk to my parents 10, 15 times a day. I can't say the same for Micah. Damn. Yeah, we probably would have been fighting at that reunion. I do see what she's trying to say. She's like, did you even have a relationship with your dad to be acting out like this? I don't know. Like, that's a bold stance to take. So Bree has had enough. They're going back and forth. She decides to get up and she leaves the restaurant. This meetup orchestrated by Daisy was a complete waste of time, and the women say they are done with each other. So next scene, we're back at Daisy's event. I've actually been to this place before. It's like Asian fusion restaurant. So we find out that she didn't invite Geneva, she didn't invite Demetria, but she did invite Bree, but Bree didn't RSVP, so she decides to call her, and Bree says she's on her way to a surprise party. And Daisy calls her out, oh, so you're going to that party, but you're not going to mine. Bree then tells her, well, this is a party that's only going to happen once. I'm sure you'll have a bunch of parties. Then why didn't she just RSVP then? Just say she wasn't going. Child, Bree is on one. I think she is my least favorite person on this show, after Geneva. So it looks like it's only going to be the fun girls, the Louds, attending this event. So we see the dinner started. Is that Isaac Mizrahi in the back? How random. Oh my God. This was such an awkward scene. So as Micah is talking to the waitress, I guess she says something Thai since they're at a Thai restaurant or whatever. She looks at Daisy's dad's girlfriend and she's like, you look half Asian. She's like, are you? She says, yeah, Japanese. Micah goes, konnichiwa. Oh my God. The look on that lady's face. So then we see Daisy's dad making a toast to her, and it's so sad. Like, he loves his daughter so much. Oh man, I hope somebody checked on him, like, when he got the news. Also in this moment, it's making Mike a reminder of her dad, and she gets emotional at the table. So it looks like Daisy's event was a success. You know, all the people that she wanted there were there. So the next scene, we just close it out with Micah receiving her father's ashes. She's reflecting to her boyfriend about it. And yeah, that's where the episode ends. Like, after this, I'm just like, where does the season go? Because the ladies are literally divided. So yeah, there's about, I think, episodes 7, 8, and 9. And then 10 is the reunion. So yeah, y'all let me know what y'all thought of these 2 episodes. I would love to know whose side y'all on. Like, I just really feel like I sympathize with Micah. But hey, we can all disagree respectfully. This isn't Potomac. But yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all for my Real Housewives of New Jersey review. They're going to be on Sunday. Interesting, right? But okay, y'all, let me leave. Bye.